10 questions. Peak oil is simply a soundbite way of referring to a cost-benefit analysis. Does the value of the commodity make it worth the process of putting it into the market? If you're willing to pay $50 a gallon at the pump, they'd be pumping oil till a lot longer than any of us will be around to witness. Human-caused climate change, poisoning, both or neither. If you can't see how our culture contributes to both, I don't know enough to say that they are the sole contributors, and I imagine we're not, but our culture is built upon violence and death, and as long as it is, we will be pumping poisonous substances into our air, land, and water, and although we might regulate how much we can pump out, we'll still be pumping some out. And carbon dioxide contributes to global climate instability. That's long past debate. We're well on our way to creating the next batch of oil. Trust GM foods. I don't trust anything if I don't have data to evaluate the choices. Until they can prove to me the safety and viability of screwing with my food, then don't. Elections are rigged, fine, or nonsense. They've been rigged from the get-go. I mean, come on. 3/4 of our population was disenfranchised with the signing of the Constitution. Slowly, that has been changing over time, or it was up until the past, say, 30-odd years. The bankers have really learned to make us think that the system is not rigged, which is a weakness of the public. Unless you vote, I feel you have no right to complain, unless you have divorced yourself from the system completely. No picking and choosing, I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but no, not over there. You're either in it or you're against it. Government owns you or your kids. That ties directly to number 9. Do I believe government should use violence or force as an answer? Government could not exist without the threat of force and violence. It's what gives weight to the police officer writing your ticket. If he didn't have a gun strapped on, you'd tear that ticket up and toss it back in his face. You don't show up for court, a bunch of men with guns are going to come get you. Which basically ties into 8. Can we be free without a central government? That's the only way we can be free. Now, I'm not saying we don't need some kind of centralized meeting place where consensus rules the day. but not under threat of violence. That negates the whole point of community. Which kind of answers number 7, that the empire will not collapse. If you think that the empire is U.S. based, you are sadly mistaken. Now, our U.S. economy is headed for the brink, but that's not the empire. The U.S. is merely the global cop, the strong arm, the violence that is used to enforce the empire's existence on all our backs worldwide. Which kind of filters down to number 6, that then I realized that instead of can you be charged, you were actually hoping to ask should we, and of course we shouldn't. But half the prison population or more are there due to victimless crimes. So does the government own you and your kids? As long as they got bigger and more guns, yeah. The reality is nobody owns anything. What we classify as ownership is merely the ability to defend what you possess. As long as you can maintain your claim, you own it. But the minute somebody shows up with more guns than you lost possession. Even if it's a victimless crime that they take it from you with. Well, that was 9 of them. Well, I'm going to go back to number 8 again. If there is one instance where a central government can be tentatively accepted, it is for the enforcement of equality and transparency in trade. In other words, no trade should ever consist of one of the parties utilizing force to obtain their objective. It's the reason we give cops guns, is to make sure that our disputes are resolved in a peaceful manner. So now I will answer 10. Man, I can't even force myself to follow my own views sometimes, so how could I possibly justify attempting to force my views on anyone else? And as far as someone else forcing their views on me, I refuse to accept that. In as far as I am capable. Practical realities argue against confronting men with more and larger guns than you have, and yet, push comes to shove, at some point, don't tread on me. And now, into the circle 5.